Well, Buckingham Palace has released a statement this morning on the Queen's health, informing the public that the monarch was admitted to hospital overnight on Wednesday and that she has since been released. It's been revealed she's returned to Windsor Castle, where she is apparently in good spirits.
After royal officials initially downplayed the Queen's health, it appears her condition may have been worse than first thought. Let's bring in royal commentator Angela Mollard. Ange, great to have you as always. The first question is, should we be worried?
Yeah, look, I think any 95-year-old being in hospital and having to go to hospital is a matter of concern. I mean, it's her platinum jubilee next year on this, in February. That's 70 years that she's been on the throne. They want to protect her health. This visit was cancelled. I think, look, the Queen's only been to hospital 5 times in the last 40 years, and the last time was in 2013 when she had a stomach bug. So she's been she's been in great health all her life. But of course, we saw her recently with the walking stick, which suggests there may be some deterioration in her health. What it is, who knows?
Yeah. There were some theories that she cancelled the trip for other reasons. But now the hospital visit has kind of quashed those. But what else do we know? There was some talk of security concerns.
Yeah, there was talk of security concerns with Northern Ireland, and that has been the case since I lived there. You know, it's been an issue for many years. But I think there's also the issue, there's a bit of dissension in the palace. Royal commentators are saying that, you know, how many events should she actually go to as a 95-year-old? They're pushing her pretty hard in terms of the number of events. She had a dinner at Windsor Castle on Tuesday night. Of course, she has Remembrance Sunday coming up in November. You know, someone that's 95, most of us not sort of clock out in our 60s, 70s, so to be still going at the rate she is, and there's also all the work behind the scenes.
Some unbelievable stats, though, as you said. 5 times in the last 40 years. That is a great run of health. Meghan Markle, we can't have you here without talking about her, but she's had some great causes to push, and this one is paid parental leave. She's sent a letter to US Senate. She's had a little bit of backlash on that.
Look, I totally support her in this letter. This is fantastic. This is what she should be using her platform for. And she talks about being overwhelmed and overjoyed when Lilibet was born, but then she goes on to make the point that many families aren't as lucky as her in terms of support. Now, we know America does have no paid parental leave system. Where I think she went wrong is she wrote a 1,000-word letter. Nobody needs to write a letter that long when you're trying to make a point. She then goes on to talk about the fact that when she was growing up, she had to buy $5 salads to exist, and she worked in a yogurt shop and that sort of thing, making the point that, you know, she was sort of in poverty as well. But the critics have come out and said, well, actually, you went to a $16,000 a year school and your dad was a celebrated lighting director. So I think that's where she makes her errors, is she has a point to say, but then she seems to always need to kind of embellish the story, and I think that's where she's gone wrong here.
We're seeing the royals get more involved in environmental matters too. The Queen and the Climate Change Summit, Meghan and Harry's work with Global Citizen. This week, William and Kate, that was very
gorgeous.
big hoo-ha with the Earthshot Prize Awards. I mean, we're used to the royals being politically neutral, but they do seem to be, you know, changing their tact a little.
Well, I think they're more whole-scale changing their tact. If you remember, Prince Charles was always talking about green issues, way back, you know,
he's been talking to plants for years.
Exactly. I mean, he's a huge supporter of environmental issues. Look, I think they actually care about their children. I love that story that Prince William told about how William George at his school had a litter day where they were picking up litter, and then they picked up all the litter, and George said to him the next day, well, we walked in the same place and the litter came back. And so William, you know, feels this enormously for their children. And look, I think of anything that they get involved with, mental health, yes, and environmental issues. It's a really smart way to position themselves.
Talking of William and Kate and their kids, they're talking about reducing their kids' involvement in royal duties.
Well, if you think about it, Prince Charles wants a slimmed-down monarchy. So when, obviously, George is going to be king, but after him, Charlotte and Louis, they're going to have to get a job. In this very slimmed-down monarchy, they're going to have to work. And there's great fears that their children, their younger children, will sort of end up in this situation, a bit like Prince Andrew and Prince Edward, where they haven't really had roles. So they're trying to basically create a situation where they're capable of a proper job.
I reckon they'll be right. I reckon they'll land something when they need to.
Yeah. I reckon they're pretty safe.
Can you imagine their references?
Prince Charles has taken a bit of a jab at him. So this is on a lighter note.
I love the story. So he's at this event, the Prince's Trust Awards, and he's telling the story about how he went into the shop and he had to wait for all the people to come out. That you know, he said, everyone was waiting to get in, but they were just trying to get me out. And he said, story of my life. And I love that because of course, the thing with the Prince Charles, no one actually thinks he should be king. They're always wanting to leapfrog straight to William. So he's aware of that. He knows there's all these people lining up behind him to get that job, and at 72, he hasn't even got his proper job yet. Imagine spending 72 years in training to do the role that you're born for. Poor man.
Just hold tight, Charles. You'll be right.
Thanks, Ange.
Great
Good
to
to
have you with us
see you
again.
with a royal wrap.